You said all wars are bankers' wars. That really hits home, Eric.
And really true.
We do a lot of work in the blockchain and crypto space. And the reason I bring it up is because when you look at an asset like Bitcoin that cannot be created and printed, it's a great way to view the US dollar. And a lot of people have gone on to say that all wars are fiat currency wars, because if we couldn't print massive amounts of dollars and hand them to Ukraine, what if we really actually had to balance the budget? Do you really think the American people would put up with saying, by the way, we're going to have to not build this bridge, and we're going to have to close this school, and we're going to have to do all these other things if we want to give money to Ukraine? People would be like, there's no way. But since we can print it at will, we seem to be able to do things that maybe we shouldn't do. And that's a great lens to look at these wars. And if you look at what's going on in Ukraine, I mean, if it wasn't so blatant, unfortunately, the Western media and in the UK and the US have one narrative on Ukraine, and that is they're winning. But if you really look at what's going on from experts in the field, you realize it's just one big money laundering operation. And the people stealing the money aren't the Ukrainian generals. They're the people in Washington as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How did your stay end up in Antarctica? Did you leave on good terms? Did you kind of learn anything? Will you ever go back there?
I did leave on good terms. I was actually tapped after my initial 1-year stint as consideration for the winter site manager up against another gentleman that I had wintered with initially, and he wound up getting it. And the reason was that they have systemic problems in the program. And I guess in order to protect the innocent, I will just state that there are problems, which I believe caused by the directed energy weapon systems that the local crew are way too close to. And there seems to be systemic violence going on in the winter seasons that nobody wants to discuss off ice. So I was under consideration and being questioned with, how would I handle if I was in charge of the facility? What would I do to dampen the violence? And I was coming from, I guess you would say, a more old school, heavy-handed methodology. And I was being placed up against someone who was running from, I guess you would say, a more contemporary, liberal-minded, corporate way of doing things. And I wound up losing out to the other gentleman because I guess my techniques were considered a little bit more old-fashioned.
So I'm having flashbacks to the movie The Shining for some reason. Mm-hmm. And tell me if it was anything like that. And the picture I have in my mind is in that movie, you've got, Jack, who's stuck with his family in a hotel that's surrounded by snow with no contact with the outside world. And he kind of goes a little crazy, and there ain't much you can do about it because there's no calling for help. There's no police. There's no nothing. What's it actually like down there? Because you spent 366 days straight, and you just talked about violence, which nobody thinks about. They just think it's a bunch of researchers, studying neutrinos. But what's it actually like down there? And what's the day-to-day? And is it a dangerous place to be?
It's extremely dangerous. It's the harshest continent on the planet. It is Mother Nature at her extreme. The South Pole Station in particular is a place on the planet where Mother Nature has decided everything should be dead. So for starters, you have to appreciate the environment wants to take you out. I would have to walk around from building to building every single day, doing my rounds, inspecting, making sure that the heat's on, the light's on. But to transit from one building to the other, I was facing the forces of Mother Nature unbeknownst to most people. And it was, it was in my reality, it was like a conversation. I would go outside into Mother Nature and kind of have to thumb my nose at her and say, you're not going to get me today, because she was trying. It was palpable to me, to go out in a storm where, the temperatures are down at minus 90 degrees ambient and wind, and you have to gear up appropriately for the conditions. And, sometimes I get complacent and not necessarily put on the right gear for the conditions, and the conditions change and get more harsh while I'm out and about. And all of a sudden that conversation between Mother Nature and I proceeds to ensue. And, it's rough as far as the environment. Mother Nature wise. As far as the population, the building, the society, I guess you would say, during the winter, for our time period, we were completely cut off from the world, short of some intermittent satellite passes where we could, fire off an email or something like that. So for my winter season, the crew of 49, we became kind of a tight-knit family. But as you clarified before, there is no police force. Nobody's coming to help. So whatever somebody puts their mind to there, they have great liberty to exercise their actions. And if left unchecked, seemingly things can get very terrible from season to season. And I would just state that, there have been massive acts of violence, sexual assault, all kinds of things that, in the regular world can be dealt with, policies, procedures, factions that we have assigned to those things. But, when you take 49 people that are just there to work, they're just there to do a job. If somebody decides to break social norms, what do you do? If some guy just walked into your studio right now and started hitting you in the head, what do you do?
Yeah, that's kind of easy in this world. But if we're in the middle of nowhere,
right?
Then
if there's no police to call,
yeah, and then you got to be. And then after it happens, however you settle it, you're going to still share space with the same person for 3 more months. Like that gets really interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are times where folks at the facilities, they realize might makes right. It is a microcosm of society, and just like in society, things can go wrong and people can take advantage of circumstances. And it seems to be, like I said earlier, it's an ongoing systemic problem in the United States Antarctic program that is unresolved.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy.
The greedy bankers are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is,
that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.